saw Esau sitting on a seesaw. I saw Esau with my girl. I saw Esau sitting on a seesaw, giving her a merry whirl. When I saw Esau, he saw me. Then I saw red and got so sore.
Yeah, I got that. I got that. Shalom, and welcome to another installment of Apostle GMS, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Today's topic is going to be entitled, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We're live streaming right now, and I'm getting ready to put the monitor on, the big monitor on, so we can see what we look like. Go ahead, Ak.
Con. Yeah, because there was this article. It was actually a web page that I was reading. I mean, I didn't really get a chance to read it. Just something caught my eye. I had sent it to Apostle Tahar. And basically, they were saying that I forget, it was 550 BC or 550 AD or something like that. And that's supposedly when Esau was supposed to have been eradicated. So I got a good chuckle out of it, but I never got a chance to go back and look over it. But they're doing that because they're trying to say that Esau doesn't exist anymore. So how could they be the so-called white people? But everything that you read in the scriptures about the characteristics and the prophecies and certain things that Esau would be doing, they don't fit nobody else on the planet but the so-called white man. So that's why these devils, they have these seminary schools and they have these colleges you go to, are set up, and they're the ones that dictate to you what you can use, what books you can use, and what resource you could use, or what material you could use and what material you can't use, because they're trying to control everything. But the Most High didn't sanction that. No matter of fact, the Lord said, this is in the book of just bear with me 1 second. It's the book of 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter. Like I said, bear with me 1 second. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And it should be, I think, either verse 18 or 19. So bear with me 1 second. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world. Why? Because Paul himself was wise in that world, the world of Israel at the time. Why? Because he was a Pharisee. He was taught under Gamaliel. He had a prestigious name. He had a prestigious background. He had a prestigious education, So he said, look, if you think that you're wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. In other words, you got to put all that stuff away that you've learned. You have to unlearn what you've learned. Why? Because when you come into this knowledge, your mind changes. You become a new man, And it says, for the wisdom of the world is foolishness with the Most High. See, so the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. Now, when you go back during the time of the Apostle Paul, you had the Jews that had a curriculum and a school, the House of Scrolls that they had set up in order for people that were out there that were masters of the scriptures, masters of the Torah, masters of the Tanakh. They had to have letters. They had to have learned these letters and this way through other men that were there before them. But when Yahushua came on the scene and the apostles, they didn't go through those different schools. Why? Because the Lord is not dealing with these schools in general, period. Because they have the Bible, they have the book that you need, they have the vital book that you need, but they don't have the information or the knowledge or the spirit to be able to break these scriptures down, because they're not prophets, they're not part of the elect, So that's why, with the situation with Vocab Malone, he did that that new video, what's it called, Hebrew Israelite History, the fractured 90s. You know, he made that video, and there were two individuals that were speaking. One of the main speakers, I remember his name was Kadash. The other one was, I think, Faithful to God or something like that. And the guy that said he's faithful to God, he said that when he breaks down certain scriptures, I'm not quoting verbatim. When he breaks down certain scriptures, he breaks them down according to accepted exegesis. You know. Now, when I heard that, the first thing that I thought about, accepted by who? You know.
And over time, I took
that
more and more
theological BS. Mosai didn't set up no theological seminaries, all right? And the guy, Kadash or Kabash, I remember the dude.
A lot of my friends.
Good boy, you remember him, man. He used to come down to the camp on 125th Street. He was kind of like, remind me of a Baloo, kind of like the same big guy.
All of that.
Yeah. He knows me, but when they mentioned me, he said, "No, I don't got no problem with Tahar, and you either loved him or you hated him, you know." And that's true. That he knows. I remember the dude. I remember when he won a TV, they had a raffle, and he won a big TV. He got up. Yep, that's me. I'm the winner. I told you I was going to remember that, brother. Anyway, you when you came into the truth, you basically said concerning the Gentile issue. You said that they told you that it's talking about Israelite foreigners, right? Well, if you understood the scriptures, you would. There's people in Israel to this day that still can't get around the Gentile thing, and we're still doing the continuous series on Gentile versus Gentile, but we just change it up. But it's in the same spirit, Jacob and Esau, Gentile versus Gentile. If you really understood the scriptures, you would see it crystal clear, but you don't see it, and that's why eventually you fell off. You know, you still think you're in the truth, but you fell off from the true man of the Most High. You mentioned the thing about King Marshall being King David. When it was told to me, I said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, he's King David. What else you gonna tell me?" You know, and that messed a lot of people up. And you came into this thing. Not you believe, but not mixed with faith. Give me that scripture real quick. Hold that on deck. See, that's why a lot of you guys have went back into the world, and a lot of you guys are watching these videos, man. And a lot of you are going to be destroyed. All of you that turn your back on this truth, you're going to be destroyed.
This is the book of Hebrews 4:1. Let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it.
That's why when all them spits came after the year 2000, Israelites just went and did their own thing. And we were the ones that kept doing, like after 96, 97, we were out there on 34th, wherever in Harlem, preaching that word. When there might have been another camp or two out there, but it wasn't like the 90s. It wasn't like the early 90s. Because a lot of them guys lost faith, especially after the year 2000 thing, which is a beautiful thing because guess what? When the year 2000 came, it tested your faith, and so the year 2000, when the kingdom's not here, your mindset was to go back into the world. Your mindset was to say, well, this is all bullshit. And some of you guys went back into the Christian church. Some of you guys went back to just being Negroes. Some of you guys became Moors. Some of you guys became you got into the black consciousness thing. Some of you guys went back into what you was into before. And that's all documented in the scriptures.
That's right. Yeah, so that's what they basing that off. I mean they said a lot of things in that hour and 34 minute video. Going into a lot of the history and certain things. Like one thing Vocab Malone spoke about. I believe it was either him or Kadash or however you pronounce his name. And they mentioned about the
what
400
happened is
years
this has been a new light
in the book of
that has
Genesis. You know that we're supposed to be here in America for
important
400
issue, and
years.
I'm
That's
thankful
not
the
what the
Lord
scripture
has
is
done it
talking about.
that way. He's using
I believe it was
imperfect
either
vessels, but I'm
I
glad
think it
that
was
this happened. I'm
Kadash.
glad that Apology was down.
You don't
Yeah,
know
a
the
lot of people
scriptures,
kind of
man.
took a step, took a risk.
That
on something
400 years
they
is
didn't
talking
really know
about Egypt.
They weren't really
It's
sure
not
people would
talking
even
about,
be interested in if it
like
was
I said,
relevant,
you got a
but
lot of
they took a
Israelites
chance,
out there.
now
They're
we see
claiming to
it
be
is relevant.
teachers,
It
and the
is
Most
important.
High is not
And
dealing
so
with
I'm
them.
going to read a scripture out of the King
Not sure
James
if he's
Version from Titus, and then I'm going to bring
No,
up
no,
our
no,
guest
go ahead.
today and
No, I
explain
said I'm not
biblical
sure
and
if he said it
relationship to this
himself.
issue
He was
that
breaking it
has
down
been
that way,
popping up,
or if he said
especially
it
over
of
the past couple
other
months, sort of in the
Israelite groups that were breaking
apologetic
it down
world,
like
which
that.
is
You know that they're trying to say
discussing the
that
claims of the Hebrew
now
Israelites.
since
Today we're going to discuss their
2016
history
is here.
in a new
2000
way.
what is it? 2019. When the bulk of the slave was what 1619, right? 1620. That's what they're trying to say.
I was going through that this morning. Matter of fact, let's go to that. Genesis 15, start from 1.
Because you still got people out there that's teaching that, you know, and that's not true. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 15. Just bear with me 1 second here. 15 and I just 15 and okay, 1. Genesis chapter 15 and 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, "Fear not, Abram." It says, saying, "Fear not, Abram." The word Abram comes from the Hebrew word Abaram. Abba means father, and Ram means exalted father, because Abraham was the first of the line of the fathers of the promise. He was the head one. He was the exalted one. He's the one that the Most High exalted. It says, "Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward."
And that shield ain't talking about the Star of David, or the shield of David. He's the Most High said he is your shield.
It says, and Abram said, Yahweh, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came.
You know what he meant by that? One born in my house is my heir. His servant Eleazar was a faithful servant. He was the one that went out and got Rebekah for Isaac. So this guy he used to go on long journeys, and he had servants under him, and he had money, and he could have left Abraham, but he was a faithful servant, and Abraham loved this individual, man. And this man was born in his house, so he was raised up to be a personal servant under Abraham, man. You know.
And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. That cuts that the children come from women. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be.
That seed, Abraham had 8 sons altogether. He had Ishmael, his first son. He had Isaac, his second son, and that's the son that received the blessings, the most blessings. And then he had 6 other sons by Keturah after Sarah had passed. He had 6 more sons. So it's not talking about all of them. That's why when you go to Romans, the 9th chapter, breaks it down about the seeds. It's not talking about all the seeds of Abraham, but that line that came out of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Isaac and Jacob. That's what it's talking about. So read that again.
It says, and he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
And that means he had faith in the Lord. That's what that means.
And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord, power, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. Now this is the Lord in a vision given Abram the confirmation of the promise that he made with him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So that 400 years, as you read on down, it was not talking about, that's not talking about America. That was talking about during the time of Egypt. All right. It says, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And that happened with the plagues that the Lord brought upon them, and eventually destroyed that whole army. It says, and afterward shall they come out with great substance, and they did. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age.
I got a precept for you.
Okay.
You mentioned about 400 years. Exodus 12 and 40, it says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Now we know the first 30 years that was Joseph, and Egypt wasn't afflicted then, or Israel wasn't afflicted then. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self-same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Now, the first 30 years, Israel was in, basically in peace in Egypt. Now, the last 400 years, that's when they were afflicted. They were afflicted in hard bondage. It tells you that in the book of Exodus, the first chapter. Matter of fact, let me go there. How they made taskmasters. As a matter of fact, I'll read it. Exodus, the first chapter. Exodus, the first chapter, the 7th verse. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies.
And they're multiplying right now.
Yeah.
With all these different camps.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And Esau is getting scared. In particular, Esau, they're getting afraid, man. They join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore did they set over them taskmasters. Now this is after the 30 years. This is when Israel started becoming afflicted. Therefore did they set over them taskmasters. What's a taskmaster? A slave master. To afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. And those treasure cities, that's the pyramids that you see today. It was Israel that built that, man, in slavery during those 400 years. Reading on, it says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. So that's pretty much it. And that was during that 400-year period. Now, the first 30 years, that period was not a period of slavery.
That was during the Pharaoh that knew Joseph.
That knew Joseph, right?
And then you had another Pharaoh come up behind that one.
Yeah.
That said, look, these people are getting